welcome to Deals with Heels, where female entrepreneurs thrive. I'm Debra, your host. Welcome to the show. I'm really excited about this week's guest. She is a sales and marketing expert. It's like talking to someone in my tribe, and I'm super excited about it. She's very accomplished, and let's just get right in it so we have time to talk about the good stuff. Her name is Anne Carden, and she is a top business growth expert, marketing and sales strategist, and consultant. She is the CEO of A. Carden Inc. and the expert in you the expert in you attraction marketing and media agency and brand. Anne has more than 43 years of business marketing and sales experience with over 34 years as an entrepreneur. That's really badass, you guys. She has built 7 successful businesses, selling 5, and is the current owner of 2. She has been coaching and consulting for the past 14 years and has worked with several hundred small business owners, consultants, coaches, and professional entrepreneurs in over 80 different types of businesses to further their success. Please welcome Anne to Deals with Heels.
Hey, it's so great to be here, Deborah. Happy to be here with you.
I am so excited to have you. We were talking about before we came online that Anne also has a podcast. She's so much more experienced of a host than me. And so she is going to have so much stuff for us. And I like, you've had such a really amazing career. Can you tell us just
Tell,
kind of a little
tell the age,
summary?
my age, yes.
Well, me too. I started all of mine over late in life, though. So, but I guess if I added it all up, it would add up to some of that. But it it is very inspiring. Please tell us just a little bit about that before we get into the nuts and bolts of everything.
Well, I started after leaving my corporate job after I had kids, I was in corporate business management for 13 years in a top retail organization and was running multi-million dollar departments and had those babies and knew I did not want to have that type of a career. So wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but financially we were struggling when we made that shift. And I started looking for a way to make money. And that's how I jumped into entrepreneurship. Although I think I've always kind of been an entrepreneur, even as a kid. I was always selling things, and I've been doing sales since Girl Scout cookies, actually way before that, I think. So,
What was it? The
yeah,
magazines, right? It was magazines like in band and choir we used to sell in the 70s, like the magazines in
I
the little
forgot about
book.
magazines, but seeds, flower seeds, and garden seeds.
Yeah.
Girl Scout cookies, Christmas cards, where they would do the embossed Christmas cards that were personalized, and all these, it's so funny. You forget about all that stuff. All this stuff has come out over the years as I've been on podcasts. In fact, I remembered, my first business was probably when I was about 8 years old. I sold craft classes to the neighborhood kids and, ran craft classes in my basements because I learned how to make these paper mache balloons. So it goes
Look,
way back.
you were coaching those kids back
I've
then. Look at
always, I
you.
think, kind of been a natural teacher. But long story short, I that first business went global before the internet and everything that we have today. And I was basically running a manufacturing company out of my home and did that for 7 years, and then stepped into the fitness world and I built up 2 health clubs, 2 weight loss centers, and sold all of those. And my last 2 I owned when I stepped into coaching. I had worked with a business coach in my last 2 in my weight loss center. It was a high end women's training studio. And I hired a coach because it was in a new market and I couldn't really get it above break even. And so I hired my first business coach, and it was such a game changer. Said I was really good at running a business, but the marketing piece I was struggling with. And so she turned everything around in 30 days. And I said, oh my gosh, this is what my next thing is going to be. And I've been doing that. You said 14. I need to update my bio. It's been 15 years now that I've been coaching other people. So, but I've always been coaching. I mean, even in fitness, I've coached thousands of people to better fitness, to weight loss. And as a manager, you're teaching people, you're coaching people. And I was always training them in sales and ran my own marketing events. And so it's just been a natural thing.
That is so awesome, and I love the progression of it. As soon as you learned it and mastered it, you were ready to do it yourself. I love
Yeah.
that. I think we forget about that sometimes, and you think, "Oh, well, I don't wanna step on that person's toes that taught me that," and really, that's not how a mentor or a coach works. They're super happy
Right.
for you when you get to that point,
But
and
it wasn't competition to her anyway. I mean, actually, I
right.
helped her with some things in her business, which was really funny. She had me fly and help her launch this brand new program because of my expertise. So, just because she was able to help me with some things I couldn't clearly see, some blind spots or a few things that I didn't know, didn't mean that I didn't have um things that could help her as well. So I think if you look at it that way, we're never competition. There's always things that I don't, things I know that you don't, and people aren't really competition.
I don't think so either. I love collaboration because
Mhm.
even if yeah, I can do this kind of marketing. That doesn't mean that I want to or that I'm the
Mhm.
best at that. I might be better suited over here in this part of it and collaborating that piece out so that I can focus my time on what I'm really good at that makes money and makes me happy. I
Absolutely.
love collaboration so much. And in our industry, I think everybody's so stuck with kind of commission breath. Like back
Mhm.
in the corporate day when people were in
Mhm.
sales, you could always tell when they were desperate to hit that sale. And as a new business owner, I think we're all kind of in that. And it's hard
Mhm.
to say, for example, to business client, hey, maybe Facebook isn't right for you. What I mostly do is social media, and for business to business, there's probably a better option for you. Let me
Mhm.
refer you to somebody. But very few people do that. And if
Right.
they did, they would realize it will come back.
Yes.
It'll come back.
Yeah,
That
I
business will
agree.
come back.
I agree. I'm always one that if something's not a right fit for me, to take that business, I would much rather refer them out or do something different instead of trying to muddle my way through that. That's always a loss to you anyway, a loss in time and effort and energy. And it's things that you're not excelling at the things that you really excel at. So yeah, I really believe that. And also, when we talk about competition, none of us do anything the same way anyway. So even if we're both in social media or both in sales, we have different ways that we do things and we both bring different things to the table. So you just have to look at those things differently, I believe.
I think so too. I want to talk about scaling businesses. You have a thing about scaling businesses quickly. And of course, that's every entrepreneur's dream, is it not? Can I please just get to where I'm making lots of money now and skip all of the small bits of it and so you have a 4-step program, right?
I do.
Let me see exactly. I want to get it right. 4-step expert in you $1 million accelerator method. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes. I've actually just changed the name though. This is like we're always refining, right? We're always
Mhm.
So it's basically it's the same thing, except I've just changed the name because one of the things that I wanted to do something that was actually a little different, a little catchier. And so I just kind of rebranded that to $1 million Leap. And it's still $1 million Accelerator
I was
behind me
looking
here.
in your bag, but I like $1 million Leap. I really like that because
Yeah.
that's really what we wanna do. We wanna
Yes.
leap over there to where it's already good.
Yeah. So I just changed that and kind of rebranded that a little bit. But yes, it's a four-step process and it's everything do you want me to go through it or we want to just keep
That
talking and
yeah,
come back
I'd
to it?
love for you to tell us all about it.
Okay. So what it is, it's really a premium growth system for $1 million leap in 12 months or less. And what we do is create a really high end offer. So, like a 25,000 to $100,000 offer. I call this your $1 million offer around your expertise, something that you're already really great at doing. And we really create that transformational value. So first level is $1 million offer. Second thing is magnetic market influence. This is all around clarifying that message, getting that positioning, that authority platform in place online so that you become the only one doing what you're doing. It kind of puts you in a category of one. So when we talk about competition, we take you out of that. So there's no competition at all with what you're doing. And then the third step is what I call mic up, marketing and sales. And this is where you're really stepping into the spotlight, very much like we're doing here, Deborah. And but you're doing it for lead generation. So everything that you're doing is what we call high impact marketing and sales. And it's where you're not only attracting, but you're also closing business because you are in the spotlight and you have the right strategies in place to be able to do that. And that's everything from podcasting to speaking on stages to running virtual and live events. There's no one size fits all here. So I just want to kind of say that. And then finally, the fourth level is multiply to millions. And this is where we really install the systems and the structure and the strategies to scale you with simplicity. So this isn't about killing yourself and being overworked. It's about having that predictable, consistent growth without burning out and still having freedom and time in your life and being able to enjoy your life. So $1 million offer, magnetic market influence, mic up marketing and sales, and multiply to millions.
I think that is amazing. One of the things that I heard you mention just a little bit in there was about the expert and
Mhm.
authority marketing. And that is a term that I hadn't heard put that way
Mhm.
before. Can you explain that to our audience? Because I think very few of us are probably doing that the right way.
Yes.
Or really even understand what that means. I think we get carried away with the branding and what your
Mm,
brand should look like. And you forget about the expert, all of that, but brands you as
yes.
the provider of choice, the expert, the one that everybody wants. And that part of it gets left out because that is more than the color yellow or whatever
Right.
else it gets involved with the brand visually. So I definitely want to hear your take on that. And I'm sure that everyone else does too.
Yeah. So just think about expert and authority as your influence system. So your brand is sort of like the look of your business, right? It's your colors, it's your logo, it's all of that. But it goes deeper than that if you want to really get more business in the marketplace today because buyers are going to Google you, they're going to go searching, they how are they going to find you? And so it really builds on your brand and it goes I always say your brand is the foundation that we call that positioning in the market. But then your authority, your expert influence, all of that is like building the know, like, and trust. So it's really helping people now see why are you the best? What is that message that you're saying that you're putting out there? You're in a category of one, but why? Why are you in that category of one? And so this is where you build up that influence system. So when people come across you, they really do believe that you are the one. So what they're seeing, what they're feeling, what they're thinking is exactly what you want them to see, think, and feel. And a lot of people don't do this. They don't take that step. So they think that because they have a nice logo, they have a nice website, they have the colors, they think that's going to build their business. But that's just the very first piece of it. It goes so much deeper than that. If you want to attract business to you and pull people to you, you need to have an influence system.
I agree completely. For me, when I started decades ago. My audience knows how old I am, so it's not a secret. But we called it demand building. And it
Mhm.
was simply building demand for your products and services and for you as the provider of choice of those products and services. And then in the thousands, it became image. We're working on our image.
Right.
And now that buzzword is branding, but really it's all the same things. There's
It is.
more of attention to the visual aspects of it simply because video is so prevalent in social media. But honestly, all of it is still the same. You still have to build credibility for your business. You have to
Mhm.
build all of those. Well, now we even have social proof, not just
Right.
testimonials, right? I had to
Right.
redo part of my sales coaching to add in because I do buying personality sales coaching. So if you know that this person's this type of a buying personality, you know how to better sell to them. And
Mhm.
social proof added something to that wasn't there before because I've been
Right.
doing it for a long time. And so adding that in, but that's not just posting reels, folks. There's real thought and strategy that goes
There is.
into. Tell us a little bit about that. What are your favorite types of tactics to use when you're building that expert and authority marketing brand?
Yeah, well, definitely you have to have a book. I just really believe a book is it can be the core of your what I call value content. To have that book just establishes you as an authority, but we also will help people launch a magazine, launch a show, launch a podcast, or even just a live show. I have a client, we put together a strategy on LinkedIn for her. And she did not even want to do all the podcast stuff, but we launched a live show, same strategy, but her clients were on LinkedIn and we only ran it as a live show on LinkedIn. And I mean, she took 3 weeks off to go to Europe and came back to a fully booked calendar. And in literally 3 days, she closed more business in 3 days than she had in the previous 6 months before we had started working together. So I'm all about how fast can we move you and getting that impact in what you're doing. And so all of these things. So a show, even guesting on podcasts, being strategic about the podcast that you guest on can be really powerful. I get a lot of clients from guesting on podcast. And so those are some of my favorite ways. Again, a magazine, articles, a newsletter. A newsletter on LinkedIn right now is a really powerful thing to do if it's the right place for you, if it's the right I always hate to talk about tactics because most people know to do tactics, but without a strategy, which is the secret sauce, they're just a lot of times noise. They don't work. They don't get them the traction they want. And it's because they don't have that powerful strategy behind what they're doing.
Percent. And I think there's a disconnect between a small business and their content plan, for
Hmm.
example, whether
Yes.
even if it's social media, it's if you're a small business, then your strategy and your plan for your content and campaigns is infinitely different than the person posting videos every day on TikTok.
Yes.
And we're so anti-sales culture. We get
Mhm.
sold every single day. We buy and sell things every single day. But for some reason, when it's the most important thing to us, our
Mhm.
business, our livelihood, our employees' livelihood, it is so far back on the back burner that we got to dig deep to find it in there.
Yeah.
And what is ironic is that the content creators that are out there, there's such a plethora of them that make a lot of video and post content, but a lot of video. Ultimately, the goal is this is the best microphone ever. Let me tell you guys all about it. And that's anti what it's just we're in a weird place,
Hmm.
kind of evolving through adjusting a content creator for those kinds of things where eyeballs are the only thing that matters, and the small business that the right eyeballs are the
Yes.
only thing that matters.
Yes, I told you I'm speaking tomorrow at an event. And one of the things I'm going to talk about, and I hope I won't ruffle some feathers in the room, but long gone are the days of post to get engagement. Not that, you don't want to be chasing algorithms and posting to get engagement if there's no real value to your content. It is about the right eyes seeing your content. It's not about the amount of eyes that see. Of course, the more visible you are, right? Is you're going to get more traction. But if it's not the right eyes, it's not going to matter. So we are over likes and clicks. If you can't take likes and clicks to the bank, what is really the point? So when we talk about marketing, I don't want to make people think influencer. That is okay. I want to get as much engagement on this YouTube video as I can because, excuse me, because I hope you'll cut that out because I'm monetizing my YouTube channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's your goal, then that makes sense. But if your goal is to grow your business, as it is for you and for me and for most small businesses, we're talking about influential marketing. Very different.
I
Very
love
different.
that, the difference
Yes,
between
not
it being
influencer, influential.
influential. Yes, that's fantastic because the only thing that matters is that your potential customer eyeballs are on there. If you have a niche market, then the hundreds, the thousands are irrelevant. And
Absolutely.
I think there's also a big disconnect between how easy it is to make money off of pure content as either as an influencer or just monetization.
Mhm.
is very, very difficult to maintain those kinds of numbers.
Yes.
And I see people that will get one kind of viral video and then
Mhm.
that's it. I'm quitting my job. I'm going to be an influencer.
Like the one trick, like the one hit wonder kind of musician, right? They have one song and that's all they ever get. Yeah, to me that's playing the algorithms, and we're talking about a much more sophisticated marketing strategy than that for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree. And I love that. I haven't done Well, I guess I've been a guest on some LinkedIn live shows,
Mhm.
and then they later, like, I think, convert that over onto YouTube, maybe as a
Mhm.
podcast. But those I found really interesting too. And I've been invited. I haven't done it yet, but the roundtables that have multiple people on them, have you
Mhm.
done one of those?
I have done those. Yeah.
Do you find those to be valuable? I haven't done them,
Okay.
so I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out if I want to. There's a limited time available,
Yeah.
when I'm sure that you do know, and we're so grateful that you're here with us.
Well, it does really, and this is, I guess, one thing that I really want to get across to everyone too. It really does matter what's going to be the right strategy for you. So a roundtable might not be necessary for some businesses, and for others, it might be the golden goose. So this is why you really do have to kind of know your stuff when you're putting these things in place, because otherwise you can become noise. You don't get any traction, it doesn't turn into revenue. And I hear so many people all the time say social media doesn't work. Really? Well, I've been building my business on social media for about 14 years, so I am going to say that's not right. I'm going to say you've got some gaps in what you're doing, and you have some problems and some breakdowns in what you're doing, and that's why it's not working for you, because we've never had this opportunity. I mean, I used to run print ads. I used to have to pay to run print ads and in the newspaper, and very expensive. And now we have so many options to reach people, but can be convoluted. It can be confusing because there's so many options. And that is really why I help people do what I help them do, because they are very confused. And a lot of times what they're doing isn't working.
And preaching to the choir here, because I talk to so many business owners who have spent a lot of money
A lot.
on, right? And I met with one who had spent $25,000 over a 3-month period and got nothing. And I was like, do you know what we could do?
Mm-hmm.
$25,000. He had a very nice video that was horizontal. So they had made professional video before, but he said, well, he's a social media expert. And when I tell you that this man's business is the most niche business to business target that I've ever worked
Mm-hmm.
with, and he was doing the omnipresent approach over social media and spent, $20,000
Mm-hmm.
on paid ads and creative and all kinds of stuff, which would have probably worked fantastic had that been for a different kind of a business. But for him, he got nothing from it because are his customers on Facebook? Well, maybe. I'm in
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma. He has, I don't know, maybe 10 businesses in Oklahoma that he can actually sell to.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
you're paying for a lot of waste when
Mhm.
you're getting eyeballs on from people that are never going to buy your product. They may look at that video and think, man, that's cool, and click on it.
Yeah. It
But you
really
can't take
kills
that to
me.
the bank. You absolutely cannot take that to the bank. And it just
Mhm.
trying to explain to a small business owner what happened and, you're just, and how to redo it. You can just see they just are
Mhm.
so crushed. They're defeated already.
Yes.
So all my entrepreneurs out there listening, it's important for you to take control and not just blanketly hire a marketing person and assume that they are going to come up with your whole sales strategy.
Mhm.
I have been kind of comparing it to if you're sick and you go to a surgeon, he's going to find a surgical solution. If you go to a
Right.
psychiatrist, he's going to find a psychological solution. If you go to a social media agency, they're going to find the best social media
Mhm.
solution that they have, but social media may not be where you need to go.
Right.
So you've got to back that up to a strategist that can help you figure out your ongoing strategy for your business
Yeah.
and then tie that in.
And it's such a it is really something that a lot of people don't really know how to do. I mean, a lot of people do call themselves strategists, but when I talk to them, I'm like, why are you calling yourself that? To me, a strategist is someone who looks at your business as a whole. They have deep experience and knowledge and skills, and they really can pick apart where the breakdowns are or what you need, where the gaps are. And so many people don't have the experience to do that. They know how to do one thing. They've learned how to do one thing. Maybe they've learned how to, here's a good example, how to build websites, but they don't understand lead generation. So your website looks like a beautiful brochure, but it doesn't do anything to bring you business. That would be a breakdown. So one of the things I see people doing and why I sell my services the way I do is because people are always piecemealing. They're
Mm-hmm.
going out and they're hiring a podcast agency, and then they're hiring a social media agency, and then they're hiring this kind of agency, and they're hiring somebody to do their book, and they're hiring, like, they're doing all this stuff, but none of it is cohesive. None of it builds up their brand. It dilutes their brand because the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And you don't have one person that's looking at everything saying, these things don't align with each other. And so they're not making sense. And so now you have this really, again, convoluted is probably the best way I could say it, brand across channels that just don't make sense. And it's not even right. A lot of it's not even right for your business. So I'm not even on TikTok. My clients aren't on TikTok. If there might be one or two out there somewhere, but I know where my clients are. And so I help my clients understand what is going to be the best way for them to reach the people they're trying to reach in the most efficient way. And a lot of agencies they just don't do that. They, drive the data. How many likes can we get to your Facebook page? How many views can we get on your Facebook video? How many
I call
clicks can
that
we
the
get?
KPI echo chamber, right? Where we are determining whether or not we did a good job by our key performance indicators of click through
Mm,
rates and engagements and impressions. And
yeah.
there's only
The
one.
key performance is how many calls are you booking? How many people are you talking
Yes.
to? And then how
And
many sales are you closing, right?
yes. And like we say on this podcast, a lot of the time, it doesn't matter how many clicks I get to your website. If your website doesn't funnel it in, you
Mhm.
have to look at the whole sales structure, the whole system. How's it happening? How are you funneling them in? And I just won't take a client. I don't, I even struggle to take a digital advertising only client if I look at their funnel and I can see it's bad,
Mhm.
because that person's going to walk away without the results they expected. And it doesn't matter how great my strategy is for that ad.
Right.
The ad's going to do its job. It got the clicks. It got us over there. But you have to be able to funnel them in so that you have the opportunity to sell them. You have to
Mhm.
generate a lead from it. And that is the part that oftentimes is missing. And there is no set it and forget it.
That's
Remember
right.
those infomercials that were the
Mhm.
set it and forget it for cooking dinner? That is
Yes.
what I think people still want from their marketing and their websites. If you build it, they will come. I can just
Those
set it out
days are
there.
gone. Yes.
Long, long,
I
long, long
told you
gone.
I just now shifted my $1 million accelerator. I just changed the name. I just changed it up because we have to keep evolving. And what worked yesterday doesn't work today because now accelerator is used everywhere. I don't want to be doing the same thing as everyone else. And so I'm always trying to be a step ahead. And that's what we have to do in the marketplace today.
1,000%. And I could go on talking to you, Anne, forever, honestly.
Did we even talk about sales? I'm not sure we even got to
I
sales.
don't know that we did. We did, because it's all about sales. And I'm reminded I have a colleague that is in public relations, and it's been a good 10 years ago that I had this discussion with him. But I was saying, listen, it's all about sales. That's
Mhm.
what you don't see. All of marketing is about
Right.
sales. And he was like, no, 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 no. We're
Uh,
community involvement. We're public. We are not. I said, we're doing good things. I get that. You're doing great things. Why did you send that press release? Well, because we want people to know we're doing good things. Well, why do you want them to know?
mhm.
Well, because when We want them to know. We want them to feel good about our brand. Yes, we do. Why? Why do we want them to feel better about our brand? And I had to walk him right all the way into the
All the way
corner
to the sale.
before he would admit that yeah, there are lots of companies that do community and philanthropic work. They don't tell anyone about it.
Right. Actually, I would love to say something to that too, Deborah, if I can. There are really three systems when you're looking to make sales. There is your influence system, there is your lead generation system, and there is your sales system. And all three have to work, and they all have three have to work together. They have to, and this is a lot of breakdowns in companies too, right? Their marketing isn't feeding the salespeople, the sales teams, the right people, the right leads. And so then they blame the sales team, and the sales team blames the marketing team. And it's like, no, you need somebody to come in and pull those two teams together
Right. They
and have
have
a
to work
cohesive
together and
strategy. Yes.
communicate and get feedback back
That
in from the
cohesive plan.
salespeople.
Yes.
Yes.
Get the right leads and then teach the salespeople how to close them. And really, if you do a good job in your marketing, your sales, you should be getting people about 80% sold from your influence and your lead generation anyway. They should be about 80% sold. So then the sales team just has to get them over the line.
And especially if you're focusing on the expert and the authority, that
Yes.
influencer, because that's where they get that confidence. So they've
That's it.
already kind of
Trust,
built this
belief.
confidence
hmm
before they get into that salesperson, and they don't have to spend a lot of time building that
Yes.
because that's taken place. That's the difference in that type of long form kind of content
hmm
and the typical reels and the quick and the posts. And
Yes.
you may think you're getting long form content when you post those really, really long posts with all of the copy, but no one's reading those.
You
Very
need
few
a
people
mix
are
of
reading
things.
them. And if they are reading them, you've already sold them.
No, that's absolutely, yeah, that's right. Yes. And that is so important. And oh gosh, yeah, we definitely could just geek out on this all day. I
We
know.
could, we could, but I'm running out of time, and I want to be sure and talk about your stuff that you have coming up, and you have a free magazine
I do.
available for my
Yes.
listeners, and so tell us about that.
Yes. So it is called Expert in You Magazine, and you can go to expertinyoumagazine.com and grab your free digital copy. It's very high end. I started that magazine in my agency because I wanted to be able to feature my clients in the media so they would have an influence asset that they could hand to clients or they could promote on social media. Again, building that influence and that confidence and that belief that they know what they're doing. And so you can grab that digital magazine. And I also do have a Facebook group for people that get on that list if you want to join that as well. And then we talk about things like what we've talked about here and just building your brand and building your business. And yeah.
I love it. I hope all of you will reach out and check out her stuff. Now, do you print your magazine too, or is it digital only?
We do print it, but but printing is really for my clients. I send
Mhm.
them copies. The people that are featured get copies, and then I use it more for events. And I have like a wow box that will send for different things. And so they're assets that I use for my business, but we don't put them out on racks or anything like that. It's not that kind of a magazine.
So you're sharing your expertise and authority marketing with your clients,
I
and
am.
because so she can help you make a magazine of your own. That's
Mhm.
part of what she does is her services. So please check it out. I will have links to that in all of the show notes. And you're not big on a lot of social media, but I bet you're on LinkedIn.
Yes, I am on social media a lot. I have a big YouTube channel and I'm on because I love putting out value driven content and helping people. I'm on LinkedIn, a big presence on LinkedIn, and then I am on Facebook and I have Facebook groups. So, but I'm not on TikTok. That's the
Well, I mean,
one.
there's like
Yeah.
so many new ones, and then they thought TikTok was going away, so they started some new ones to go with
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah. I mean,
I
again, know where your people are. I am where my people are, and that's why those are the main platforms that I'm on. So you don't have to be everywhere, but you do have to be where your people are.
that is the most important place to
hmm
be. So you'll find all of that in show notes. You guys know you can always get a link to my free ebook, 5 Steps to Having a Successful Mindset. And you can find out more about the show at dealswithheels.com. And we will link to all of that in the show notes. So thank you so much for coming on. And
Thank
you
you.
were such an amazing guest. So much great info.
Thanks.
You have a podcast too that you
I
talk
do.
about all of this stuff on. What is the name of it and how can they find it?
Yes. So it's called the Expert in You podcast. And you can get that on my website. You can go to annelcarden.com/podcast and get it there. Or you can go to, we're actually switching over the platforms. So that's why I'm not sending you to expertinyoupodcast.com, because might be a lapse and it may not take you there. So you can get it on my website. It is also on my marketing and media website. Go to expertinyou.com and you'll find my podcast and my magazine on there as well. So, and other assets.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. You are such a great expert in sales and scaling quickly, and I'm definitely going to keep in touch with you. I hope everyone enjoyed the episode, and until next week, we're out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.